Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 455, and today we're doing battle with Ashe LeBlanc. And so this Ashe LeBlanc list may look a little bit different than you're used to seeing. There's no Trifarians in here. We have stuff like Rhymefang Wolf and Avarosian Outriders, and we'll certainly come back and circle to all of that, but I feel like we need to give a little bit of background onto the current format before we really stop and talk about a lot of these cards. And so to me, right now, the pillars of the format, the things that you really have to know and care about are, number one, you have to be able to deal with an early game unit that can scale and win the game. And so we're talking about Zoe, Action, Samira, units like Aphelios. It comes down, does a whole bunch of stuff. If you don't answer it, you just lose. And so you have to be able to deal with those early game plays in some way, shape, or form, or they'll just outscale and kill you. Up next, there is a lot of things happening in this format to where you're just kind of like staring down your opponent trying to do really powerful stuff. And so if you're up against something like one of the Zoe decks or even one of the Viktor Cosmic Call style decks, they don't do a whole lot of interacting, right? They'll sit around, they'll try and get a nice defensive posture on the board with some Stellacorns. They may generate a Crescent Strike or a Silence or something along the way, but they tend to not be super interactive, and they may only play one or two removal spells. And so one of the things that I've mentioned is that you have to be faster than the Cosmic Call deck. If you're slower than that deck, it's just going to outpower you and outscale you way faster. And then you're able to just sit around and do like really powerful engine-y kind of things because those opposing Cosmic Call decks don't really do anything. They just sit around and durdle and then hope to cast a Cosmic Call and kill you off with that in the late game. And so that's left us in this kind of really interesting space to where decks like the Fiora Galio Formidables style deck have really risen to the top as they're able to scale up just a little bit faster than that Cosmic Call deck. And if you're not going to try and interact with them, they'll just be like, "LOL, here's Balin. Enjoy. I'm going to scale up 4 and 5 units all at the same time." And so that's like something that's always been kind of running through my mind over the past week or two. And then over the past couple of days, I don't know what the deal is, but I've played against Kawako and Infinity Patrons quite a few times of playing this really weird Braum, Lulu, Warden of the Tribe style deck. And then today I've played against some weird Teemo, Braum, Warden of the Tribe style deck. And I was like, I just gotta like give this a shot. I gotta give this a chance. Like typically when you're talking about these like front page of the ranked ladder players, they don't play these like really mid-rangey style of cards. Like go ask Majin Bay what he thinks about Warden of the Tribes, and I bet he has some like really choice words about how A, he's never playing it, and B, it's just like one of the most awful and deranged cards ever made. And so to see these style of players coming forth with this like Braum Warden of the Tribes deck really got me interested. And so to me, the kind of interesting things in bringing this style of deck forward is, number one, there were some updates in the variety patch that everybody just kind of glossed over, right? There was this bottom set of changes to where Riot was like, well, you know, we're going to update these cards for Path of Champions because no one ever plays them anyways. And it's like, oh, cool. You put Fearsome on Ancient Crocolith. It turns out concurrent timelines is super relevant, and now that's just going to be awful. But, you know, down in that same mixture of things, there was Rhymefang Wolf getting a point of attack back, and Avarosian Outriders getting reverted back to a 4/4. And so these are both like very real units at this point. The Rhymefang Wolf at a 3/3 challenger with that frostbite ability is exceptionally strong, and the Avarosian Outrider is giving you 14 stats for 4 mana. That is just quite a spectacular deal. And so you know, those got me kind of interested. Those other players really kind of like spiked my mind in terms of getting these cards going. And then the other thing that we really have going on this day is, of course, Warden of the Tribes. This deck has a lot of natural synergies with Warden of the Tribes. If you're wanting to come out and include a lot of the overwhelmed themes, you hit Yeti and Raptor right off the bat with the Saurion and the Ancient Yeti, and then you have a bunch of very easily available dogs and the Rhymefang Wolf and the Frostcoat Cub along with the Frozen in Fear, and then the Omen Hawk, kind of a classic standby in this deck, being a bird towards the Warden of the Tribes while still scaling up the rest of your units. And so I think it's a very interesting and worthwhile collection of cards to come in and give a little bit of moment in the sun for. In terms of these synergies, all work really well together. There were some recently buffed cards that can potentially be quite strong, and we do have this format to where we're both just kind of ignoring each other and trying to do really powerful things, and that does tie into the Warden of the Tribes quite nicely. So my last little bit of flair to add to this deck is going towards the Reckoning. As we spent the past week or so just sitting around trying to brew every available Balin style deck that we could, I was ultimately just like super worried about randomly running into people playing Ashe LeBlanc and being like, LOL, it's the Reckoning. And so this is a card I think can be quite good over the course of the next few days. I've gotten blown out by it multiple times playing the Formidables deck, but a lot of the units within our deck just naturally work with this card anyways. The Saurion, Yeti, and Warden of the Tribes are all big enough. Ashe and LeBlanc are, of course, big enough on their own. But with just like a single Avarosian Outriders buff or a single Omenhof buff, a lot of our other units can come in and survive the Reckoning and just make it ultra powerful even against the non-formidable style of deck. And so that's it. That's the deck we're doing battle with today. Before the battles begin, you know what we got to do. We got to pay that pay-to-win price. And I love switching back over to our secondary account. There's usually some like really good options in here to turn premium. I was leaning towards Omen Hawk, but he's already been turned premium. Let's go with the Rhymefang Wolf. This guy, he's had a bit of a storied history in terms of Expedition, just being one of the spectacular cards out there. It's like, it's so weird to see a card like the Rhymefang Wolf and be like, this guy had to be nerfed like twice, 3 times. And so he's back to his strong form, back to being the strong wolf. So let's see how it do. Getting the strong wolf Warden of the Tribes out here. I can't wait. Maybe we're gonna get to play a game. Come on, Riot. Are you out there putting forth the Empyrean update? Emporium? Is that what it's called? Got to get that updated so you can't buy the world skin. Oh my gosh, I gotta restart this or something. All right, try that again. Here we go. Here's an opponent. Hopefully the deck tracker is still here. I turned it off and back on. Ooh. Maybe. There we go. It's a game. All right, up against Viktor Lee Sin. Looks like we got the game up, but the tracker's not here. Bit of a bummer. And so with this start, I don't feel like we really need to be leading off with Frostcoat Cubs. These are here in large part as kind of a concession to the aggressive nature of the format. And, you know, if you're up against Pirates, you just have to have something to put on the board in the early game. And so in this stage, I don't think it's super necessary to hang on to that Frostcoat Cub. We'll look for something just a little bit more powerful. We found some goods. Found the cub. He said, nah, dog. Not get rid of me that easy. Get that 3-4 on the second turn of the game. Good stuff right there. Get these dirty combo players out of here trying to drop Eye of the Dragons on the board. Oh, thank you, Fam Jam. You gotta deal with the dog. Start saying stuff like, if you mess with the bull, you're gonna get the horns. So this is an interesting one. Do we ever want to troll chant this away? Right? His idea here is he's going to just replay the Vestayan Disciple, and then from there be able to get the Dragonling for next turn. I think our turn is probably still just good enough to let him, you know, kind of get away with that. Oh, weird. Why didn't Ishimon win? Just doesn't want the dude? Huh. Okay, I'll accept it. Alright, so we don't get to challenge down the Eye of the Dragon, but still got a couple of other good attacks along the way. We can draw with the Saurion next turn. That's always fun. Ancient Yeti ready to come to battle. I had such a massive board in one of my practice games earlier. We had the Warden of the Tribes on the board, and then I mirror imaged another Warden of the Tribes, and I was like, this must be what it feels like to be Rico Rex. If you're not familiar with Rico Rex, if you've ever played some kind of deck with Overwhelm units in it, like if you went to Runeterra.ar and just grabbed something like Darius Gwen or Gwen Sejuani or anything like that, Rico Rex is probably the dude that took it to the top of the ladder. And so you got to give him a little credit where it's due. All right, we're about to pop off pretty hard on this board. I like getting an additional challenger down, trying to spike off some of these bigger units, and of course we got our big overwhelms rolling through as well. Where'd you go, Rhymefang Wolf? So what's LeBlanc at? She needs to see 7 damage to get the flip. Let's take it at least a little bit safer, just in the event that opponent has a recall or a stun. Then we'll do LeBlanc and then try and get her leveling up a little bit higher after that.
What technique is this?
I feel like that's going to be a good combat. So again, always interesting with LeBlanc. We did just mention this Warden of the Tribes play. We might just do it for some LOLs. We'll see if the game comes down to that point a couple of turns from now. But gotta wait and see. Now, hang on here. What happened with this? We need to, like, I don't even really want this wolf on the board. It's not doing anything. I think I want to actually put the health over on the Saurion, like protect it from Mystic Shot later, and then we'll give the Eye of the Dragon 0 power so it dies to the Rhymefang Wolf. Sure. You fought hard, Wolf. You fought hard. Maybe I should have given you those stats, you know?
I whisper truth into lies.
I think it'll be okay, though. Down here protecting our dinosaurs instead of our dogs. I don't know the answer. I don't know if that was right or wrong. Not worried about right or wrong in terms of gameplay, right or wrong in terms of philosophically, and so. What's more important, the dogs or the dinosaurs? I'll be real, I don't like dogs, and so. Just. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get myself started on that rant again if you don't watch yourselves. One of the things I don't approve of are the rampant dogs just running around like Home Depot. I really hate it. And, I hate it so much. I'll just stop. Can't get the dog lovers out there writing nasty tweets at me and stuff. But here, I feel like we could probably just go ahead and play the mirror image, see if we draw another, reasonable overwhelm unit for this next turn. I don't really want to be playing Warden of the Tribes. I'd rather just be open attacking, finishing. And so if we pick up a good overwhelm unit on the cheap, we can get it on board. But if not, I mean, we did just spend 1 mana to boost the top units of our deck, and so it's not that bad. Opponent really needs to kind of pop off on this turn, though. They got the double Eye of the Dragon. They need to be playing 2 spells real bad to have any style of chance.
Now what could you be plotting?
Maybe we'll just be going for the Warden anyways. Look at that. He's got the four statter. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I think we're just gonna bank out this turn, and I'll play the Warden next turn. Lifesteal Victor's not that bad. What you got? More stuff? Death Ray in us? Well, I'm going to want to add 1 more unit to the board. I want to be getting the Warden down and then immediately attacking. And so the Frozen in Fear is actually a kind of interesting option, given that it has Overwhelm. I think that's where I'm actually kind of leaning towards here. It's gonna be big enough to even like overwhelm through Viktor, since this will be our first Frostbite, giving it 1 power, and then the Warden of the Tribes will give it another 4. Whammy. Got to talk about whammy. I I got Anchorman on my things to talk about today. I watched Anchorman again last night. Don't act like it was the first time I've seen Anchorman. I've probably seen Anchorman like 30 times. It's easily one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. But it blew my mind. I never really like stopped to think about the kind of nature of what was happening in the background. Like the actual plot of the movie is just too busy talking about Sex Panther and stuff, right? Or saying, you know, I'm kind of a big deal. I even got like I'm a kind of a big deal nameplate thing on my desk. Like it doesn't show through. There you go. I'm kind of a big deal. People know me, you know. My apartment has many leather-bound books and smells of rich mahogany. Like I do all of these things. I've seen Anchorman way too many times, but it's like I never actually stopped to think. It just completely like went over my head. The kind of nature and plot of the movie being that these are just a bunch of dudes that aren't really there with the changing times in terms of the women's rights coming through and the.
My move.
I'm gonna get this attack in right. But no, it's not just a super male-centric world. It is, of course, in their little bubble, but outside of that, and then the changes that are rolling through in terms of the women's rights movement and everything, just really slapping Ron Burgundy right in the face. And it's like, I don't know if I would have even, like, if I hadn't had, like, Barbie on the mind from watching that recently, to where, you know, the plots of the movies hit a lot of the same points, but Barbie's a lot more in your face about the maleness of the world. And I guess that's just part of my male privilege coming through, just kind of completely missing it in Anchorman for fucking 20 years. So it's wild. It's worth watch though. Go and get it. It still holds up really well. They don't have a bunch of weird jokes that fall flat in the current times, and so such a good stuff. But one of the memes that always stuck through with me is there's a meme of just people sitting around a table, and it just says, in the time before memes, we just sat around and quoted Anchorman all day. And it was so true to me, so true to my heart. That's how I spent so much of our time, just bullshitting at your job, quoting Anchorman. To see that pop up, it really warmed my heart for the day. And so in the time before memes, everyone having a cell phone in their pocket and stuff. Old man Bust remembers those old days. But alright, into the battles here. Anchorman aside, up against some kind of Tahm Kench Lux deck. I'm not entirely certain what we're getting ourselves into here, but we got a pretty interesting start in terms of our Avarosian Outriders really coming through. Hopefully we get to kind of showcase these dum-dums just a little bit. We hit, you know, one of them with the Omen Hawk. So now, if we're thinking in terms of Reckoning and in terms of the 5 attack matters stuff, Avarosian Outriders is now big enough, and then whatever unit he hits on top of our deck is most certainly going to be big enough, and so he's going to be ready to pop off here. And what the fuck's Tahm Kench do? Hits a unit and then strikes it. Okay.
Many tribes.
He's gonna eat our wolf. We don't have a frostbite at the moment. I guess we could have waited until he played the acquired taste first, but whatever. No, I'm gonna come out here and attack with this shit. I'm not worried about what Tahm Kench is doing.
I'm sure there's something for my taste.
Now, an interesting thing with this, you know, I guess it's like I want the Omen Hawk to die in combat, but it's not going to be super likely to just come out and do that. So let's just get this big board going and try and force the equation here. Now, there used to be a thing to where Tahm Kench didn't actually get strikes if he had 0 power. Like, it was like this acquired taste had to strike a unit to actually eat it. And so I'm not certain if that's still the case, right? Like, if you sit here and watch the animation, you can see Tahm Kench
This is our home.
you can see Tahm Kench like strike as the unit comes down. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. Now with this, it's slightly awkward with the LeBlanc seeing all of these 2-power units on the board, especially with barrier. She's going to level up and not die here, right? Oh no, we did 0 damage to that other barrier unit. Nope, that's my bad. I had the right idea in mind, but it didn't play out how we wanted. They fixed that thing. Okay. So Tahm Kench is going to level up here in no time. He needs to be healed a little bit, I guess, but... Everything's going wrong. Nothing's going as I want. I'm just talking about Anchorman too much. Alright, Tahm Kench gets to flip. I guess those units are gone for good.
There's room for it.
Curious to see if it even matters. Alright, Wolf, you're gone. Archers, you're gone. Omen Hawk, gone.
We go where the War Mother bids.
Alright, let's keep partying. You can keep your landmark thing. We'll see what we can do. Rhinefang Wolf, sure. Look at all these overwhelms. So many stats, man. Feels so good. Feels good.
The light follows.
So as it stands, Tom's not going to have the size to eat the wolf, right? The wolf's going to come down as a 3/4. So he's going to need another barrier, another card, and if he doesn't get out here fast enough, we can still kill Lux through this barrier, right? She has 0 power. The Rhinefang Wolf can come in and nom nom. Yeah, I feel you. Silent and suppress. The gems are coming out. The good ones are coming through. Wow.
Another nibble.
Shield up.
All right, doing what he can to not die.
Press on.
Our lives.
Tahm Kench, he was very interesting in the space of teamfight tactics. He did this thing to where like he would eat units, and so like with teamfight tactics, you tend to have like 1 or 2 really important units in your team, since those are the ones that you've put all your items on. Tahm Kench would come down and just like you try to line up Tahm Kench to just eat the opposing strong unit. It's very interesting how his angles would come together. In this game, though, not that interesting. Not that interesting, are you, Tom? All right, you ate the Outriders. Good job. You're gonna be dropping a final spark in on the Rhinefang pack, I guess. And we're gonna say, watch this. Look at this mountain of stats I'm about to get. Feel good. Warden of the Tribes #2.
Oh, I don't require a menu.
There we go. That's got to do it, right? At the end of the day, it might have been a little bit better to play the Wolf and the LeBlanc, but this is what life's all about right here, isn't it? All right, so he detains 1. You just need to come through for 1 point of damage, so he needs like a +2/+2 for Tahm. So maybe he can do like +2/+2 and a barrier to keep himself from dying and losing Tahm. He's got to have exactly 2. He's got exactly 2 cards in hand, and so search warrant. So Lux gets the thing. Then we get the 2 units back. 1 unit back. Okay. Now you got to stare down this Warden of the Tribes, Tom.
Where there's a will, there's a meal.
You can do this. You're a Durand.
Look at that. He's got the skills that he needs now. God damn.
A chill in the air.
All right, we'll let him take the capture the next turn. I guess we gotta we gotta try and get this open attack in. I guess it's on the table losing to Tahm Kench here.
River always wins.
Interesting. So is he just? I don't understand what the angle is. Is it just he has to eat the units? I don't. +2, +2. Okay.
I tried. Places to go, people to be.
All right, I think we're okay. He needs like a single combat kind of card to stop us here.
Establishment fair.
Not enough. GG. Oof. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel when you almost lose to that deck. The Tahm Kench barrier deck coming at you. But made it through at the end of the day. GG. On to the next, but it only took 3 Warden to the Tribes to get through that game. Just 3. So to continue to talk about the space of movies, I know that's the only reason anyone comes here, is one of my favorite movies of all time. After Anchorman is Bad Santa. So if you haven't seen Bad Santa, it's easily one of the most fantastic Christmas movies ever made. And even outside of Christmas, it's still well worth a watch. But one of the lines in the movie is when Billy Bob Thornton's character has his kind of realization of what a piece of shit he is, and he has his kind of like redemption arc starting as he comes out and he says, you know, I finally feel good about myself for the first time in my life. Today I beat the shit out of a bunch of little kids. And so that was the start of his redemption. You know, Thurman Merman gets picked on by these kids, and so Billy Bob Thornton goes out there and beats him up, and he feels good about himself because he beat the shit out of those little kids. But that's kind of how I felt today. And so like it's finally nice out here in Kansas City. We just went through a week to where it was like fucking 115 degrees every day. And so now it's finally down into like the 70s or 80s or something, so you can drive around with the windows down on your car. And so I was at like this intersection. It's like three lanes. The left lane can turn left, the middle lane goes straight, the right lane goes right. You know, it's pretty straightforward and standard. But like way over in the left lane was this dumbass old man just like talking on his phone. And like he was inching like out into the street. Like it's annoying enough because I need to see down the street through 2 cars to try and turn without dying. But with dipshit here like rolling way out past the like the crosswalk, and he's literally rolling into the street, just some dumbass old man on his phone like this on top of the steering wheel. I got pissed off and yelled at him. And so I had my windows down, he had his windows down, and I went, fucking really? And kind of gave him one of these. Now, I did not realize he had his windows down. I am usually not I'm usually not such a aggressive user of the road rage. Here, we don't have a reptile, but we need the unit. This is fine. And oh, we should have played the other one. Shit. I want these stats so we could attack. But he turned and kind of looked at me and then just like shot his face straight forward again, and I was like, good. Put your fucking thing away. Because I was also curious after that, because as I was just making a small errand, and I come back and like there was a wreck on the main intersection a little bit further ahead. So I was like, cool, I wonder if that old man just came out here and ate shit because he's trying to read his fucking phone the whole time. Oh, I was so mad. But it's like it felt like a real good moment to me, in the sense that I felt like I had my purpose and I was doing my thing. So I gotta start paying attention. This game was a little bit fucked. If you noticed what I did there, I thought that we were going to be able to take the attack power off of the unit and then protect ours, and that's just completely not how any of those cards work. And so a little bit of a whoopsies there from me. hopefully we can find a way to recover this, and I assure you I'm gonna stop talking about movies so much from this point forward. We gotta focus up and get our victories.
Are you certain?
So this is not bad. Now we can look to go into next turn. Like, we can flip the Ashe this turn if we want, but it's not going to be... Like, we're not going to be able to Crystal Arrow this turn. And so I guess it's going to come down to, do we want to Warden of the Tribes next turn, or do we want to... do something with just like Ashe and all of these other units?
Look how we have grown!
I kind of like getting Ashe down, so if we can defensively Crystal Arrow on the next turn, we may not get killed. But this Vladimir is fairly threatening here.
Winter, take you!
We could have waited. Like, I don't think we're going to be in this spot next turn to where that Frostbite's gonna matter, right? You can Frostbite a unit, play Ashe, and try and get more attackers in. I'm thinking more along the lines of if we draw like a wolf, or if we draw another like 4 or 5 drop, I want to be able to get the multiple units on the board this turn. We're just too short now. It's at 5, and so that one's on me. You know, typically I get a little bit more upset about losing to Battle Scars decks, but
As I planned it.
the number of attentions paid in that match were around -1, and so I'll bring it back. I'll start paying attention now. No more Anchorman, no more yelling at old men. We just gotta focus the rest of the way. I can do it. All right, up against Jayce Lux. What we got? We'll hang on to this double bird start. Not a bad one. Like, as you run up against Jayce Lux, so much of their removal is just damage based, and so anytime you can take a unit from a 3/3 to a 4/4, it gives them just tons and tons of fits. And so if we can drop an Omen Hawk early and then hit a Rhinefang Wolf after the fact, it just gets to the point to where every spell opponent plays takes 2 spells, or every kill spell opponent plays takes 2 instead of 3 to actually get a kill.
Remember, we're the ones who make
Right,
progress
Forge
happen.
Chief. It's combat
Not
time.
on my work site, bub. Keep it up.
Alright, not a bad start. He gets the full 6 mana this turn, but I don't envision that there's a ton he's going to be able to do. Let's add, this is kind of tough to me, right? Because what we're gonna try and do is like we can add the wolf. Like, it's just asking to get shot down. I guess that's kind of fine. It's just like one of these really awkward spots to where I'd probably rather lose the wolf than lose LeBlanc. But it's like, if we play the wolf, we can't Frozen in Fear next turn because we're like, opponent just doesn't have anything on the board. But if we play LeBlanc, she's just like such a high-powered play
Places to go.
that she's clearly just gonna die. But we got that double statted LeBlanc at the top of the deck. Helps. That certainly helps. Let's see what we can do. We definitely want to be trying to get the card draw off the Saurion this game. Our hand is not very stacked at the moment, and so I'd prefer to kind of get the dog on board this turn.
Powering up.
It's very weird he didn't take Challenger. Do we still feel the same way now that we've drawn Ashe? It's just so wild having access to these 4 health
All
units
the
against
world
Jayce
on
Lux.
one arrow.
Ashe can come down. Let's be real here. His blocks this turn are awful. Now we play the wolf. If he plays another unit, it's just going to get smoked by the Ashe arrow, and then we have the wolf into Saurion now. Looks good to me. You got, with the cold, so too come the Rhymefangs, and they don't have to outpace their prey, merely outweight them. It's heavy, yo. Just out here, sitting in the ice and stuff. So this is another spot. We gotta remember that if he blocks with the Lux, what are you doing? Okay. Not what I was expecting. I was gonna say we do need to remember that if he like blocks with the Lux, it can really get in the way of LeBlanc here. But now that he's taken away our thing, it's kind of painful. Alright, we'll just stop. Make a sad noise for me. Womp womp. You guys got to play a big spell this turn. Get the Jayce flip. Get the final spark.
Pushing my limits.
Formula's fine. You can't really follow up with 4 spell mana on anything, and we should be able to troll chant out of the final spark. I was curious if we ever just like got him in combat, as to where, you know, he's got this quick attacking Jayce in the face of a bunch of units that he can kill if we ever just get the harsh winds onto Jayce. But I don't know. I kind of feel like with the 2 units being able to attack here, like we're so close to the lethal, especially with the Sigil of Malice in hand. Now, it's not, you know, completely unreasonable to think he's not just going to Mystic Shot this LeBlanc, but if he does it this turn and we get to play the second LeBlanc out of hand, that's going to feel pretty good. There's no, like, pressing desire for him to shoot down this LeBlanc right now, though.
Now what could you be plotting?
And then we do have the surprise damage, right? The Rhymefang pack can get frostbitten a bunch of times next turn. The fuck are you doing? It's very tempting to just go ahead and make this block so we can play the other LeBlanc. Like, I don't know, there's just too many shenanigans this way. You can deal the damage that doesn't matter. It's probably, to me, it's just like he probably has another Lux in hand and he's looking to just play the barrier.
Shine with me.
What's coming through? So if he plays the Lux barrier and protects against LeBlanc, that's fine, and then play the Mystic Shot onto Iceveil Archer. Still got to figure out an answer to the Saurion. And we can just like LeBlanc Sigil of Malice face.
Interesting use of tech.
Alright, the big Exbliterators rolling in. I mean, he's ultimately going to be... Let's just do this. We let this happen, right? He falls to 1. Our LeBlanc's still on board. and then we just Sigil of Malice face. Like, I don't want anything more happening in that combat, right? You know, I don't want to be playing Harsh Winds, and then he's like, cool, here's a Mystic Shot for your dude. You don't get to deal any damage. We have this game won if that combat ends. He shouldn't be able to gain any health. And then we could just Sigil of Malice's face regardless of what he does here. Oop.
There's no
GG.
escape.
Alright, not bad, not bad. Look at that, we stopped talking about movies the whole time and then I'm able to get in a win. Look at that, look at that. I can raise myself up the ranks if I just don't talk about movies the whole time. I'll have to tell you, this will be a movie story for probably next week. I've got a... Ooh, this is a very interesting hand. We're up against Fiora Galio with a Rhinefang Wolf and a way to protect it. Let's just keep this thing. I'm one of the few people remaining in the world that has a Netflix DVD subscription. And it's going away. Like, it won't be a thing here after the end of September, I think, is the end. But I still have a part of it. I still have that thing. And I've got 80 for Brady coming in. I've been memeing about it pretty hard. Telling the wife how much we're really going to enjoy 80 for Brady and what an awesome movie it's going to be. And that one just came in. I can't wait to fire it up and watch that. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll probably be talking about that one soon. I'm sure it is awful. But alright, let's give this a pass. We can keep banking this mana. If he drops in a Mage Seeker, it's kind of whatever. And then hopefully we can just kind of pick and choose where we're going to be dropping dropping this Troll Chant. And so right now, like, the Fleet Feather Tracker into Rhinefang Wolf shouldn't be able to do anything. And so I think we're safe to just drop in Ashe.
All the world on one arrow.
And next turn we'll have the Ancient Yeti, we'll have the Frozen in Fear, and then be able to pop off. Yeti. Level up that Warden of the Tribes, my friend. I miss this guy so much. They took him out of Standard. He was the only real reason to play Yetis. I was thinking, like, when I was putting this deck together, Rico Rex mentioned again, he designed the Yetis deck with Blood for Bloods and the Abominable Yeti. The fuck? And, interesting. I was considering taking this deck in that kind of direction, but didn't do it at the end of the day. So this is fine for the most part. Just don't want to get super involved in this turn. Like, that was a fairly odd champion strength. I guess he recognized that he was about to just get zinged, but okay.
Always 2 steps ahead.
Now a Fiora. Just strikes me as a Troll Chant turn. I feel like after we play Troll Chant, he's just going to concede. So much mana do we have next turn? We can have 8 if we want a Brittle Steel and Sarion. Let's keep the Omen Hawk at home. We gotta just sit around this game until we draw Reckoning, right? we can finally play our card in the matchup where it's trying to do its thing. Alright, and he goes Petricite Charger. So when we attack with Ashe, she's going to Crystal Arrow into Fiora, and that's the target that I'd like to take down. I mean, typically this deck plays... It typically just plays Shield of Durandi and Troll Chant, so I don't think we have to worry about this Fiora in any way. Now, he can come in and just block Ashe with the Petricite Charger and get the kill in front of her, but like Ashe is not super important at this stage of the game, right? You can imagine how good Ashe is if she's flipped and the opponent has all of these 0 power units and then you just get to attack and they can't block, but we're like pretty far away from that stage of the game. And we're just annihilating his board left and right here. And so I don't feel too bad about losing Ashe, because we're just like running this one over. Get those riposts out of here. I kept my mana back, Mage Seeker. I've been playing too much Mage Seeker these days. I know what's coming through. So, yo, Bust, I got a card for you to check out. It's a Mage Seeker. And I say, oh, do tell. Do tell. I haven't seen one of these guys yet. Please. Let's just block the 1. The 6 damage here is not that bad. Maybe we take a block with the Frostcoat Cub. Like, he's not going to deal damage this game anyways. So we can at least chunk down some of the formidable health. With the opponent at 7, I mean, do we just want to go full overwhelm at this point? No, I worry about Galio a little bit. These units aren't like critical takedowns. I like taking down Balin, right? We can't let Balin sit around and just scale. But let's keep the other Rhinefang Wolf. Like, Galio strikes me as one of the few ways we can actually lose this game. I don't want to deal with that. Right? And we can still say hook the Junior with the Rhinefang Wolf. Our guy won't die, and he's going to get blasted with the Overwhelms. Let's keep fighting. Keep fighting.
Many tribes, one Freljord.
A true Freljordian welcome.
I mean, like in the typical lists of this deck, there's not some weird bullshit that's going to come in and just punish us for doing this, and so I think it's fine to keep adding units to the board.
This is our home.
Get in there, Raptors. GG. Well played. On to the next one. All right, let's get one more in here. One more in. Getting a little close to that hour mark. Let's see how it goes. So interesting, though, up against the Formidables with decks that have Reckoning in it and Ashe in it. It's like a lot of our cards don't do anything, right? Frostbiting a Formidable unit doesn't do anything, but on the flip side, units like Ashe and the Reckoning do exceptional amounts to them, and so it's kind of wild there. And my dealings in Standard, I've started to add a lot of like Cythria into Elites, and it's just another way to fight through the Formidables. Same kind of idea, just giving your whole team fearsome. All right, let's see how this goes. I was considering sending away the Icevale Archer. It's one of those tough spots to where, again, the Frostbites aren't very good in this match, but he does have reasonable targets. He's got Durandi Sculptors, if you want, sure, but more so along the lines of Fiora that we actually want to be putting the Frostbites on. Let's get him, big dog. The predators of the northern reaches have learned that they are the easiest prey, or those already crippled by the winter's bite. Oof. Breach it. Alright, so far so good. Are you gonna try and get us? Oh, dude, no. I was prepared. Just getting zinged all over the place. Now we can come in with our Sarion. Dig it. Is that a +2/+2 LeBlanc? No, only one. Still looking good. Oh, I missed the Warden of the Tribes. He had that bonus. I couldn't find where our other Omen Hawk stat went. Badger Bear. You don't usually see Badger Bear in this match. Well, I'll let him take the trade. If he has a Troll Chant here, we're not getting 2 for 1. We're just going to lose a Sarion. And so it's like, again, it's usually Shield of Durandi, which lets one of his units not die. He's going to try and get 2 for 1s with Troll Chant, but at this point, the Troll Chant's just going to protect the blocking Badger Bear, so I don't really care if we lose it here. And then we're still building up to a pretty big round in the next turn, where we've got the cheaper Ancient Yetis and the LeBlancs and everything. Seems like it's going fine to me. Gotta keep checking if this Ashe is flipped. She's not. She is not. Maybe one day, though.
I will unite the Freljord.
Look at that. 1 mana Ancient Yeti. Such a good deal. Alright, I'm about ready for combat. Ready to send these units into the red zone. See if we can't call it a day. Dropping Galios into our wolves. Oh, man. That's highly suspicious.
Not and ready.
Well, okay. I guess I guess we'll find out what we're in for. You can't. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't have anything else to do.
Arrows at the ready.
All right. Victory unlocked. GG. Not a bad set of battles.
Now begins a new
Pull this
era.
up and talk about it a little bit more. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting set of games. Nice little bits of synergies all across the board. Just very mid-rangey and very powerful along the way. And so it's interesting, like with the Rhinefang Wolf, I'm curious if he doesn't find himself a little bit more of a space in the current landscape of the game, getting that extra point of attack back. Because it does land him in a spot to where, you know, it was always just such a bummer to have your Rhinefang Wolf try to get into combat with a 3/3 and then just has something go wrong and it gets killed. And so while the majority of the time you are trying to get your challenges in to take down units that have been frostbitten, like losing that point of power was incredibly relevant. Like especially in the sense that, say, you attack a unit and they're like, okay, brothers bond, I'm going to grow my unit. And so its stats don't get frostbitten anymore. It doesn't have 0 power. And now your Rhinefang Wolf just doesn't kill anything because it only has 2 attack. And so, you know, bringing that point of attack back was quite relevant with him. And so in terms of this deck, I like a lot of the things that are happening. We didn't really run into too much of the aggro end of the spectrum today, which is fantastic for this, right? This really preys upon the decks that are just trying to sit around and say, here's Nora's wall of units. What are you going to do about it? You say, well, we're going to overwhelm through that shit, you know? That's what you're really trying to get at the end of the day. But in terms of like how this deck is finishing off, it could probably live without the Avarosian Outriders. It was nice. It did present a lot of stats today, but it ultimately wasn't super important, and I feel like if we were playing a lot of High Masters games, we would find it to just be a little bit too slow. But again, there is no denying that 14 stats for 4 mana is a very good deal, especially when those 14 stats and 7 attack power all have Overwhelm. And so, very powerful unit out of the Outriders, even though we didn't focus on it super heavy. And there is this really nice Warden of the Tribes package running through Freylord now between Ancient Yeti kicking off, Glacial Saurian kicking off, Omen Hawk kicking off, and then a variety of dogs. It's just very easy to hit 4 and 5 keywords without really putting much effort into it. And so it's like if you want to switch into a more aggressively oriented style of thing with this deck, you can say cut out the Frozen and Fears, add in things like Crimson Pigeon, and then you have a lot more redundancy in your keywords, and they're all still cards that you just typically want to be playing. And so very interesting build up with the Warden of the Tribes, especially when he can kind of combo with LeBlanc and things like mirror images. And so very powerful stuff there. We didn't get to showcase the Reckoning today. It's very odd to go through 6 games and draw it 0 times, but you can imagine as you're out here playing against the likes of the formidable decks, the Reckoning definitely just AoEs their whole team. And then we had bunches and bunches of games here today to where it was like, oh, look, this Avarosian Outriders has +1/+1, so it's a 5/5 now. He's given a +3/+3 to a Frostcoat Cub. And then we have a Glacial Saurian and Ancient Yeti, and these units are all just naturally 5 attack. And so you have that strength in there. And so ultimately at the end of the day, where I think I would probably take this deck if I really wanted to grind with it a little bit more, I think the Outriders can go. You probably want to look to add in like a 5 power unit strikes thing, at least 1 copy, just to make sure you have a little bit more interactivity. And the Frozen and Fears, not as good as I wanted them to be, but they could be a critical component of the deck in terms of activating the Ashe and the Rhinefang Wolves, and they really do shine against stuff like Pirates, to where having a 1/4 on the board really limits their aggression and makes them trade a whole bunch into a singular unit. And so definitely some power in those more aggressive matchups. But interesting deck, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.